it's been good.
All right. Glad you brought that up. I'm glad we went back and revisited that because that's important.
They deserve it.
Yes, absolutely they do. All right, let's get to Coach Thornsberry. Talk to us about your defense against Meade County.
I thought overall we played pretty decent. We gave up that big play to end half, and like I said, that's the second time in 2 weeks we've done that. We gotta figure that out. We can't let that continue to happen. But like I said, we held them in check for most of the first half. I thought, like I said, I always say that I think he does a great job of in-game adjustments as well as any offensive coordinator has. They did a lot of stuff in the second half that they didn't show in terms of the run game. So we had to make some in-game adjustments to kind of take it away. And once we did, they went away from it. I thought their quarterback did a good job with the big arm of like doing something someone hasn't done against us. And like whenever they get pressure, he would just run backwards and rely on his arm to dink and duck in underneath of us and kind of evade the pressure that way. But we did it, they still did a good job getting after him and forcing the ball out. And, so like I said, overall, I thought we played pretty well. Some things we got to clean up, but like I said, we held them under 100 yards rushing. They rely on the pass pretty heavy, so it's kind of what we expected. Like I said, for the most part, like I said, they had to dink and dunk down the field, which is what we try to make teams do. Their quarterback and their coordinator are patient enough to do it, which I think always makes them tough to defend every year.
Yeah, we've talked about that many a times about you don't expect too many teams to be patient enough to drive the ball down the field, so that's why you play the defense that you do. I noticed that maybe towards the end of the game, towards late in the second half, you started giving less cushion on the corners. Was that true, or is that just my imagination?
We kind of did it in the first half. We kind of toying with some things different based on some formations and stuff. So we kind of pressed Clancy up a little bit into the boundary to kind of take away that edge, because a lot of teams have been trying to get to our boundary side, and so we kind of walked him down a little bit to take away some of those quick immediate throws, and it kind of forced them to go somewhere else right off the bat when we did it. So it was something that I think was worked out pretty well for us.
Coach, with the more of the straight drop back passer this week, I mean, he was able to move a little bit, but I feel like I know I'm biased, but I feel like we probably have one of the most dominant pass rushes really in 6A. And I would put our pass rushers up against just about anybody. We'll transition to Ballard here in just a second, but with this quarterback, I felt like if we could just get to him a couple times, we'd rattle him. And to his credit, I don't think we really rattled him.
I know. I think I think that was what, like, he couldn't really evade us, like, in terms of getting outside of us and extend the play that way. Like I said, I think he did something that we haven't really gone against. Like, he literally would just, like, continue to back up. And he had such a big arm that he could still throw a 8 or 10 yard route down the field. And like I said, that was something like we'd rush and he just continued to back up, and we were like, oh, okay. And we'd have to adjust to that. And so like I said, I thought we got to him early. Didn't really rattle him, so like we had to do some different things to throw him off and get him out of rhythm, bring some pressures and do some different things. Like I said, because like I said, no, you're right. Like even when we got to him, he didn't start looking down at the pass rush. His eyes stayed up. Like I said, I thought he played a really good game, and like I said, I thought they called a good game.
Now, is that kid a senior, or is he gonna be back next year?
He's a senior. He was our starter last year. He just was hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah.
That's right.
All right, so let's go ahead and transition into Ballard then. I don't know. I watched a little bit of film on them. They don't look much different than the Meade County team we played on offense.
They want to run the ball a little more in terms of scheme and stuff. I think their quarterback's got a big arm as well. And he's got 2 outside receivers. He likes to push the ball downfield too. I think that that is their, that's what they're going to go after. They're going to try to run the ball and then get some shots over top on us to get those explosive plays. Like I said, it's the same quarterback we saw in the scrimmage. I think one of the receivers are back that we didn't play against, but the other ones are all still there. They've changed things a little bit from when we saw them. It's a little bit different of an offense. They kind of they played their style against us and then South Warren, and then by like week 3 or 4, they kind of went away from what they were doing and switched it up just a little bit, put another body on the field, and they started doing more stuff from like a wing perspective, like I said. But like I said, yeah, it's going to be they're spread, they're going to run, and it's all power and counter, and they'll try to do some stuff in terms of running the quarterback by himself. So like they definitely make you defend a whole lot, and they're making you defend the whole field. So they definitely do a good job of that.
All right. Yeah, you mentioned running to the boundary. I think we found a lot of teams to do that. You think Aaron Hardesty's a key in that since he plays the field side?
I think there's a lot of stuff too. I definitely don't think having Barron there hurts at all. He's definitely, if I'm looking at our defense and I see Barron over there, I'm going to try to avoid him at all costs. And it's not even that he's big. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of technique he plays. And he's not just big and talented. He's also always usually in the right spot, which also, is really tough to go against when like there's not really much you can do to a guy to get him out of position because he's coachable, he's well coached, and he's, like I said, he's always in the right spot. And like I said, we had the same thing with Isaiah. Of course, last year we had Isaiah and Barron, so pick your poison there.
Right.
Like I said, this year, I really do think Day-Day's done a good job into the boundary. It's more or less like how teams put certain formations in the boundary to hurt us or try to. Excuse me. So it's more or less we're adjusting to that more than the personnel. It's more like the packages they're trying to put together to attack us that we got to be able to adjust to.
Gotcha. I just want to point something out. Did you just say Barron is well coached and that's why he's so good?
I don't coach D-line, so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. That's Coach Mullins, and he does a good job with their D-line.
Okay, all right.
Just like the coach last week, Scout's just about as good as Kenny does.
Yeah.
Those words never came out of my mouth.
We're just being transparent.
We're just having a good time with you.
No. But like I said, I think I don't think he gets enough credit, but I don't really have too many worries because Brady Cornell does a great job into the boundary, and we also, like I said, you're running away. Like I said, Connor Hughes starting to get in a groove. Like I said, since replacing Ray Hill, so like I said, we're pretty solid in the box right now. And so like I said, I think Sammy's been very consistent all year long. He's played really well for us, and Cameron Covio has really come into his own the past couple of weeks. And like I said, I think has really changed things for us in terms of his consistency in play. So like I said, we're pretty solid across the board up front right now.
Yep, I would totally agree.
No argument.
All right, then back to Coach Kendrick. Talk to us about Ballard. How you going to design an offense to score a bunch of points on them?
Yeah, that's the question. They're pretty good defensively. They, they're big and strong and fast and have a lot of athletes, and they're very aggressive. Um, they this will be the most multiple defense we play this year. They'll give us, depending on the formation, a 3-3 stack. They'll give us a 4-2, a 4-3, a 3-4. They'll bring pressure. They play man half the time. They play cover 2 read half the time. It's very multiple. So, our big thing we've got to get to is kind of what it's been all year is, when we've had success is we've got to protect the football, and not hurt ourselves with penalties, or miscues, things like that. And if we can establish a run game and then execute on our explosive plays and get 3 or 4 of those, I think we can have a good night offensively. That'll be the question is, when they line up in different fronts and things like that, do we communicate? Do we do our job? Do we execute our responsibility? And if we do that, I think we've showed, we have the ability to play with the best. So I'm not lacking for confidence at all in our ability to do that. It'll just be, will our guys lock in and be disciplined enough to do that for 4 quarters, to give us a shot to win? And, I think they will. So,